Hello everyone, this is Chaff Commander Coffee, back with another episode in my multiplayer commentary series for 0AD. Today we're going to be taking a look at an excellent 1v1 that I played with Kazu on mainland. So, this was an incredible 1v1. It did last 44 minutes and it had a pop cap of 300, so a little bit higher pop cap than I would generally expect in a standard rated game, but not too much of a problem. You'll see actually that it was very hard to hit pop cap. This was a very like I said, it was pretty intense. There was a lot of fighting going on pretty much throughout the entire game. Both like me and Kazu raiding each other all the time. It was mayhem and a very stressful game for me to play, but it was great fun. Honestly, it was amazing. So I thought this would be the best game of that particular day that I played to do a commentary of, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'll be doing it from the observer's perspective for the most part. This time I actually will, just to give you guys an idea of what it was like for both players. So let's start the replay. At first, when I first came into this game, I didn't realise it was rated. So I wasn't playing particularly try hard, but there you go. So, start the game. I got picked as the Romans. Kazu picked the Britons. I randomed, so I randomed as Rome. Let's take a look at everyone's starting position. So we've got the Britons start with... Kazu starts by building a farmstead with his 4 women, goes on to berries, and he gets 1 spearman to build houses. The other 3 units go to cut wood. He has his batch production set to 2, I believe, and pops 6 women to start with, instead of... and then he starts to pop 2 women at a time. It's pretty interesting. By batch producing 2 women, it is actually faster than producing just 1 woman at a time, so I can see why you would do that. He has his dog just doing a little bit of scouting around his main base. He has an extra stone mine within his starting area, as well as some more stone off to the east here, another stone mine off to the west, and a pretty close metal mine alongside there as well. He's got a back wood line on the southwest side of his base. South side he's got another wood line, plenty of fig trees actually, which I don't believe my side has. But then he does have a northwest pocket of wood, north pocket of wood, and then sort of a northeast pocket of wood. So he's got quite a lot of northern wood. On my side, oh no, I do have some fig trees, so I've got equal fig trees. I've got also this patch of camels here, which I will hunt fairly early on. I don't believe Kazu actually got any camels close to his base. So I do have that advantage. I've also got this patch of berries here, which I also believe Kazu doesn't get. Not by the looks of it. So we've got a patch of berries. I have sort of a southwestern wood line from this perspective, and a southeastern wood line just outside my borders. As you can see, I don't really have any wood inside my borders, so I kind of have to expand for it. Which is a little awkward, especially since this is closer towards my opponent. But given that I've seen that I have these camels, I decided to build some extra cavalry, and I'm going to do some early cav raiding on top of really trying to make use of the fact that because my wood is forward, I should be on the offense to try and mitigate any early raiding from my opponent. He'll have to use his cavalry, if he's built any, to defend his base rather than attack mine. I also have this extra pocket of metal inside my borders, and this back stone as well, so I'm pretty good. Pretty good resources all around for both sides. My build order is fairly standard. I've gone with 20 women popping and then going for some extra cavalry. I do get a few more women. I think it's to because I have the fig trees, I've decided to get 8 women onto berries fairly quickly. And with the extra hunt, I'm not going to be building farms for quite some time. So we're going to get the 8 women there. My men are just building houses whenever I've got the wood for it. Back on Kazu's side, we've got a forward storehouse here with pretty much all his workers on. And then a couple of farms, but not too many. He's also getting another storehouse up here on this patch of trees. A few houses dotted around, nothing significant. We can see Kazu's first barracks going up probably around the 4-minute mark. He's in fact got all of his workers to build that barracks. So we've got a pretty big investment of his early workforce getting that barracks up by 4 minutes. On my side, we're starting to get the barracks built, but I'm only using my men to do that, so I've got plenty of wood coming in as well. Getting another farmstead onto those fig trees so I don't need to go into farming quite so early on. Kazu preferencing going on to farms, probably because the Britons do have a bonus to their farming rate, so that'll be quite handy. Still building houses sort of dotted around his base. I think this is to give him more vision in case of raids and things like that. It's not much, as you can see a house doesn't really give that much vision surrounding. And my early cavalry have gone in for the attack. So yeah, I did get my first 4 cavalry that I trained to kill camels, and they've already gone to go raid my opponent. This is a very early raid. This is pre-5 minutes. So Kazu really doesn't have any men. He hasn't actually even begun to train soldiers, so... Now, I do also get my cavalry to try and knock this down. Now, because they're lancers, they're not particularly good at it, but I thought if I could deny a house, like, that's not too bad to really cripple my opponent's wood gain. I start dancing, as you can see, I start dancing one of my lancers to, like, get his javeliniers so they can't kill it. He tries to pull his javeliniers back. This one's going to go down pretty swiftly. I did lose my my lancer here, but I did get another one of his cavalry. Pull them back, try to deny that house some more. My women have now finished their figs here. They'll probably move on to build another farmstead here fairly soon. Got some more cavalry on the train in both my barracks. I'm going to build some corrals a bit later on. Do lose another cavalryman fighting with Kazu. But we do eventually get that house down. He brings 2 more cavalry out from his town centre. He did batch train those. My cavalry have already moved back to my base. So we trade 2 cav for his 1 cav. We deny a house. I also got a spearman here. So pretty easy early trade. Nothing too drastic for either player. But you can see once these cavalry get back, I will be moving the rest of my cavalry that I have. I've got 4 over here and these 2 cavalry here. Another 2 there. So I've got about 10 cavalrymen now. They will be going for another raid fairly soon. Kazu is currently building up mostly cavalry and some more women, which is interesting. He hasn't got great hunt, so they're not going to be particularly effective at gathering food. He's getting another farmstead and even more women to build more farms. So, by the looks of it, very heavy on food, which tells me he's going to be going for cavalry. Now, you will see Kazu actually does get quite a lot of cavalry during this game. I popped the cavalry out of my town centre now that they're healed, and we've got 10 lancers ready to go on another raid. As far as from my perspective, I can see that he's storehoused this wood here, so I think that's where my cavalry are now going to go attack. Kazu has not particularly searched them. He's found my borders, but hasn't searched them too much with his war dog. We should see very shortly. My cavalry, I've split them up into 2 groups. I've got 5 lancers over here, moving around this flank, and I've got 5 lancers moving around here over to this flank. Now, he hasn't begun to cut either of these back wood lines, which is what I was expecting. So he's pulled his 4 javelineers in. They're going to take quite a lot of damage from my lancers. Just a quick little strike there. These 5 cavalry come in here. I've reached the town phase before Kazu. I'm going to try and pick some women off. Oh, it's pretty nasty. Pull them back out before they take too many hits. They might come back in. I split them back up into 2 groups. See if we can pick off some more of his javelin cavalry. We got one there. He's pulling some of his spearmen in. Oh, can we get one more? No, I think I decided to pull my cavalry back. I should have really noticed that this raiding cavalry here was on his last hit point. Should have went in for the kill. That would have been perfect. He does have quite a lot of spearmen cutting wood there, so I can't go in on them. Most of his women were actually in the town centre, so there's not much he can do with them now. He doesn't have enough wood to get up to the next age, so he's pulling a lot of his women off of farms and putting them on wood. Not too many though, quite a lot of idle time though caused by my early raid. I got 57 pop on Kazu at 8 minutes, and 63 pop on me at almost 9 minutes now. Again, went quite heavy into cavalry, so I'm going to have quite low pop for the time that we're at. I've finished off all the fig trees that I'm aware of. I will probably go and get some women to gather these berries at some point. But I've finished my wood line here, which is pretty awkward because now I do have a bit of a safer wood line back here, which I will expand to. Got this forward wood line and this back wood line. There's another fig tree over here, and my 8 women are currently idle, so they'll probably, I believe, I either farmstead the fig tree or farmstead these berries, one or the other. My cavalry are currently healing up in the town centre, but I've also got my early corrals going. So not doing too bad. I'm getting a defense tower up because I'll need it to age up to phase 3, and also I do have some spare stone from my miners here. I got some velite to start mining stone and metal pretty early on. Just a few on metal, mostly for upgrades. The rest of the miners are getting stone for barracks. I've got another barracks which I just completed here, so we're going to start cutting this wood line fairly soon. Going to get this storehouse up with my women. Kazu's currently finishing off this wood line here. He's almost pretty much deforested here, and he's moving the majority of his wood cutting to the back of his base, which is a good idea given the raids that he's been hit by at this stage of the game. He's getting a sentry towers built by his wood lines as well to give him a bit more defense against those cavalry raids. But since he's still not in age 2 yet, he is going to find it a little bit difficult. They're not defense towers, they're not particularly great. And I've got my cavalry coming in again. I've got 11 cavalry on this flank and another 7 here. He hasn't moved onto this wood line, but I do notice there are some spearmen. Now the lancers do quite a lot of damage on the first charge, so we managed to get 1 spearman dead there. I pull them back out. Don't want to take too much damage, rather not lose any. This wood line we're going to pick off another 2 spearmen. So not too bad. I managed to deny, I think, a sentry tower he was building there. And I notice he's got his women on this wood line, so we move in for a few kills. Start getting stuck in. We don't want to get caught up here, though, so I think we'll pull out fairly soon. Yep, there you go. The other 7 cavalry I had came in for a little bit of an attack here. Got a few more women kills. So Kazu is on 77 population. I'm currently at 76, so he has got more population than me right now. I think it's mostly in training. No, I think he literally just popped his extra cavalry that he was training up to... yeah, he's got another group of 9 cavalry over here. So we're pretty equal on cavalry population now. He's got 15 cavalry. I've got 2 cavalry gathering, a couple more cavalry coming out from my barracks in my main base. These guys are sitting on the flanks. I'm not sure if I go in for another attack with them before I get back to my base. But either way, it's pretty equal in terms of population. Kazu's getting to phase 2, and he's now moving his own cavalry in for another raid. My cavalry come back in. I think we might pick up this spearman here. But yeah, his raiding cavalry come in, so I have to pull back out again. I do lose 1 cavalryman. But since all his cavalry are on this flank, my cavalry are free to come in and just start laying waste to his main farming. We're going to get a lot of kills in here. This is a very, very dangerous, this is a pretty nasty raid. Pick up about 10 women and then we're right back out again. We haven't taken any losses. I think we might lose 1 cavalry in this attack. These cavalry are now coming back to my main base. Woodline is now being deforested from the front. I'm training more units to deforest up here as well. And because I'm in age 2, I'm starting to get some more Triarius, which should be pretty helpful. I believe I might have housed myself at this point. Yeah, I'm pretty close to housing myself, so I pulled some of my guys off to build some more houses. And then some corrals after that. I need to try and get more sheep coming in, because I don't actually have those many women farming. Thankfully, I did get, oh, right, yeah. A few javelin cavalry come in to raid me here. I do garrison the barracks, because I'd rather not have my barracks get captured. So we do lose a few men to a little cav raid there. The women I get garrisoned into the defense towers, rather than my units. So my cavalry have now returned. I am thinking at this point I'm going to need a temple just to keep those raids coming nice and quickly. Got 8 women back here to build some more farms. I think these 2 women will go and join them just to get those farms filled up. So I'm getting my injured cavalry garrison in the town centre for now, because it's better than them waiting around for a temple. Almost got enough resources for phase 3. Kazu currently doesn't have anywhere near the resources. He doesn't even have any miners. So he's going to have a real hard time getting to phase 3 at his current economic level. A lot of his women did take some early hits, so his cavalry are now going to go do some hunting just to make up for that. He's got a few raiding cavalry just hanging around near my borders. He has scouted these defense towers, so he'll have to be wary about that. Overall, getting some more houses up in the back from Kazu, probably to try and keep those defended from future raids. As you can see, he's leaving his front quite open. He's not really developing it because, again, cavalry could come in at any point. He's bringing his raiding cavalry in to capture one of my farmsteads, but as you can see, I don't need this farmstead. It does nothing for me, so I'm not bothered. This woman's probably going to get killed by javeliniers. Yeah, but one woman dies, but my cavalry pop out, my lancers. I think pretty soon I'm going to grab cavalry breeding for the walk speed. Yeah, there you go, and I start getting cavalry breeding. So I think to myself, if he's going to raid me, I'm gonna need to make sure my cavalry are faster than his, so we can pick up kills as they try to retreat. So we did get 1 cavalryman, so 1 cav for the farmstead and the woman, but I don't really need the farmstead, so I think that's fine. It's a pretty decent trade for me. I get these women outside of these defense towers since they're doing nothing for me right now, and they come over here to build some more farms. So we're now moving to a more farming-based economy, though the corrals are going to help us get plenty of food. I think I should have... Kazu's really going very heavy on food, which is not really a surprise for the Britons. It'll give him access to plenty of war dogs, or cavalry, should he prefer that. Population, I'm 10 pop ahead, but I am housed right now. I'm building a barracks. I think that's why I managed to house myself, because I didn't realise that I was building a barracks and had no men idle to build houses. Cavalry are almost healed up. But yeah, because there's so much raiding going on, both players are pretty... I mean, we're not the best players in the world, don't get me wrong. So, yeah, things like being housed whilst you're raiding and stuff, that will happen. Because, yeah, our micro is not quite as good as our... or micro-macro at the same time. But yeah, 16 minutes into the game, only just up to 100 population. It just goes to show, yeah, like... Whilst you're raiding, you do need to make sure your economy is still rolling. And in the case of Kazu, he's got more population cap, but he hasn't actually got more people coming out. He brought a lot of cavalry in here to go for an attack on my workers, but I decided to retaliate. Perhaps not the best idea, but we do have some support from this defense tower. He gets a few sneaky sword cav to go in behind to try and kill some of my women. But my Italian allied cavalry, which were hunting from the corrals, come in here, finish off those sword cavs. So that's a pretty good trade for me. My cavalry now have faster move speed than his, so my lancers should be able to pick up a few more kills on his javelin cavalry. Population still sitting around 110, but we did get some more houses up, so probably going to start building our numbers back up again. Pull our women back out to go back to farming. Currently on 25, and we have 6 farms. We need another 5 women over there. I can't remember where I have 5 more women. It might be that I am just down to 25 women now. There's a couple that are pointlessly cutting wood, but I think it's easy to miss like random women that are just hanging around, so yeah. This wood line really could use some more men. There we go, getting some more men there, getting some more men on this side. I gather up all my cavalry. I've got almost 30 now. Kazu, currently sitting around, he's got 15 javelin cavalry and 9 sword cavalry. He's also getting some more sword cavalry from both his barracks. So we're going to be pretty equal on cavalry numbers when this engagement starts. So this is going to be pretty nasty for both players. I think this is like the big cavalry engagement of the match. So the lancers go in, pick up a few kills on his javelin cavalry. Not quite sure if we want to commit yet. Oh, it turns into a bit of a mosh pit. 22 lancer cavalry. I'm trying to micro my lancers in and out of the fight, trying to aim for those javelin cavalry. He's aiming for mine with his. He pulls his javelin cavalry off to the flank here. Getting my javelineers, getting my lancers stuck in there, trying to go for the javelin cavalry, but he has the defensive advantage. He's bringing in more sword cavalry. He's up to 20 right now, and the sword cavalry will win in a prolonged engagement like this against the lancers. But we do manage to pick up most of his javelin cavalry. I think I either decide to just fight it out to the end and get as many kills as I can, rather than pull them back. I think I'm getting some more cavalry in my base pretty soon, yeah. Queuing up some more cavalry from all my barracks, just to get them to come onto the sheep here that I've been recruiting sheep to be eaten. So it's a pretty bad engagement for me. Again, the defensive advantage on Kazu really gave him, allowed him to bring more units in during that fight. He's got a temple up, he's getting his cavalry re-healed, and he's just building more. He's just building more and more cavalry. We've got another 6 raiding cavalry queued up there, another 6 cavalry queued up there, and then just spearmen from the town centre, just to give him some more wood. So that engagement has left me on the back foot. So Kazu's going closer to 150 population. Still not resource-wise close to getting to phase 3. On the other hand, am I at phase 3 yet? I am currently at phase 3. And, oh yeah, okay, so this is pretty interesting. So once I've hit phase 3, I decide, you know what? Let's try and expand. Maybe Kazu will be trying to protect his economy, getting it back online, so I try and build a forward expansion here. And what happens is Kazu decides to raid me pretty much as his cavalry. Yep, here we go. They've finished healing, and they instantly come in for a raid just as I start to get the expansion up. And this is going to end pretty badly for me. So it's two bad engagements in a row, and the game is now going to be in Kazu's favour. I think I decided to delete the town centre just to refund the resources. We are going to get some good kills on him though, don't get me wrong. We are going to kill quite a few of his cavalry in this engagement, which is pretty good for me. But not enough. This is going to leave us in a sort of tricky situation where we're really having to... And he pulls the cavalry that we're healing in the temple out to fight as well. So yeah, there goes the town centre. I delete that to refund resources. He's still got about 30 to 40 cavalry left, but it's not quite as much as it was. I think he'd be up to about 50 or 60 now if that fight hadn't happened. My base is now looking a little sparse. As you can see, I'm only up to 94 population, and it's still dropping because of this fight going on. So yeah, down to 90 population, and Kazu is still sitting quite comfortably on 160. Those cavalry fights really not going well for me, and the expansion costing me quite a lot. But he goes in for an attack on the front. It's a bit of a mistake because I've got the defense tower advantage. His cavalry don't come in as a group, and they hit some of my spearmen head on. I decide to pull away from the javelin cavalry because it's just a bad idea to fight them out in the field. Trying to get this storehouse complete so that he has to at least capture it, as opposed to just knocking the foundations down nice and easily. The defense tower's just getting some damage in there, keeping my men defended. He's got 42 javelin cavalry at this point. My base is looking a little bit open right now. He goes to capture some storehouses, not too bothered by that. He gets his sword cavalry to come around for a side raid, but this wood line's pretty well defended. My cavalry are now starting to try and fight off his raid that's come in. We get a few more kills. The towers are still getting work done. So a lot of his cavalry is taking quite a lot of injuries. I pull my guys off of stone mining, getting some more men recruited from the barracks. He just about manages to capture this storehouse and delete that. It's not too much of an issue for me though. We do pick up a few more kills whilst he's retreating, but not too many. His cavalry are pretty heavily wounded. He's down to about 30 now. So we did get a few more kills on them, but I decided to move my miners to the front stone here, as opposed to the ones in my base, just to have my front a bit more well protected. I think to myself, I need to get my population back up. This is not good enough. Like, Kazu's still sitting around 160. He hasn't really gotten his population to expand further, but he has decided to now keep his cavalry forward and protect a forward expansion. So he's now going to try and expand onto my borders, and it does go up. I'm too busy worrying about getting my population back up because it's not looking good. Gonna need to get some more houses, gonna need a build up, I'm gonna need to swap my wood lines. This wood line's starting to get depleted. I need to get a new one over here. I need to get a new wood line over here on the west side, which I am doing with these men here. I think I split about half of these guys off and send them up to woodcut in the back. I need another wood line here. I've really just got to... I can't afford to get a town centre up because I don't have the cavalry advantage. I've kind of lost the cavalry game now. Kazu's kind of secured that with that fight in his base. So he has the mobility advantage. I really need to now play defensively, and I do decide to get a fortress up on the front here where he's been attacking. This will give me a bit more firepower against those early attacks. Getting another storehouse up on the east here, alongside, probably, I think a barracks goes up next to it pretty quickly. So I'm really getting my economy back on track, trying to build up those resources. Bit low on wood. Again, this forward wood line got depleted at just the wrong time. So it's a bit unfortunate timing-wise for me. My cavalry do need some more sheep, so I'm getting some more sheep going. Got 4,000 food. What I really should have done is get a marketplace up. I could have traded all of that food away for wood, and I think I do realise to myself that, yeah, a marketplace is pretty much what we need. We need a marketplace. The fortress goes up, which is great. Kazu's expansion, getting temples up en masse so he can get his cavalry healed up. Goes in for a little raid on the side here, mostly sword cavalry. However, the sword cavalry are going to find it hard to duke out with my upgraded. I've got all the level 1 infantry upgrades. So he's going to have a bit of a problem fighting all these spearmen in close quarters. And as you can see, we do a pretty good job cutting his cavalry down. And some of them aren't even properly healed. So yeah, he's taking really hard damage here fighting my men. I lose about 5 men, and he loses about 10 cavalry. So that's a really good engagement for me there. Sword cavalry, not great for frontally engaging spearmen, of course. Another cav raid coming in here, just 5 cavalry, just testing the waters, finding out where my weak points are. So he knows I've got now a storehouse up on this side. So he knows I've got one wood line here, another wood line here. I don't think he knows I have this yet, but he may do. No, he's not sure if I've got a wood line up here yet, but I have got that marketplace coming in. Kazu's up to 200 population now, and he's getting 3 barracks on the front line. All his cavalry are healed up, so he's about, what was that, like 60 cavalry? No, 40 cavalry now. The majority of his army, aside from the cavalry, appear to be slingers. I think the main sort of infantry he has in his base, spearmen. So he's using the spearmen as a sort of defensive workforce, and using the slingers as more of an offensive pushing force. So very ranged heavy. He gets the majority of his raiding cavalry to come in on this flank. I think I just garrison the barracks and just let him have that and just push me off that wood, because I've got my wood on multiple flanks now. One wood line being pushed off is not the end of the world for me, and I barter all of my food pretty much because I have so much of it, and I've got all of these farms going. I'm getting my these cavalry, I don't think they've been working for a while now, so I did miss a few of my livestock gatherers have been idle for a little bit. So yeah, I put my guys in the barracks. There's no point keeping them out in the open because they'll just get killed by the javelin cavalry. These stone miners come off the stone just to be ready to defend. I do have Quintus Fabius at this point. I'm not even sure if Kazu is up to phase 3. He's not even at phase 3 yet. So yeah, players really just ignoring phase 3 by the looks of it. I mean, you get the garrison rate on your buildings, your soldiers get more HP, it's pretty good. Does this tower go down? I don't think it does. It might almost go down, but I think the fortress is putting out some decent fire here. No, I think this tower does go down. He manages to capture it, but he doesn't go really much further with that. Quintus Fabius comes out to just slay some slingers, because why not? Do decide to take the engagement here. I don't really have a choice but to pull in my men where I can. His cavalry are split up though. He's got sword cavalry and some spears over here. He's garrisoned some spears inside this tower. Slingers trying to knock down my my fortress, because that's what slingers do, apparently. Slingers knock buildings down. The Javeliniers trading semi-okay with the Javelin cavalry. Not too well, but good enough. Where's Quintus Fabius? I think I've now put Quintus Fabius back into the fortress. I'm trying to garrison as many men as I can in the fortress. Really, if I hadn't have picked up this fortress, I would be in a much worse position than I am right now. His cavalry are really just skirmishing around my base, just taking all of this fortress fire. It's not great for him. Javeliniers just picking off who they can. I think he commits to this engagement far too much. My economy, I've still got this back wood line working. These guys don't get pulled into the fight because I still need wood coming in. So yeah, still got an economy rolling, but my population is currently still under 200, just really keeping me under the 200 mark. Kazu's lost a lot of units in this engagement though, but he's constantly reinforcing more Javeliniers on this front line. I believe he's got his barracks in the back. They were building cavalry as far as I'm aware. I think they were getting cavalry up. I'm assuming he has a blacksmith now. It doesn't even look like he's got a blacksmith. He's kind of foregoing the blacksmith. Is he getting it now? No, he's getting a market now. He doesn't even have a blacksmith yet, so he has no upgrades on his units. So these are just bog standard citizen soldiers. I do decide to get a ram. That's to knock his units out of this tower here. We do finally push them back out of our lands. This fortress got 20 men garrisoned in it. We're going to pop the ram and then go knock this tower out. So that'll be pretty good for us. I'm going to get these Velitae to quickly just garrison this tower. So we're not actually going to try and knock this tower down. What we're doing is we're just damaging it and then recapturing it, because I would like to keep this tower, basically. That's pretty handy for me. Gonna need some new barracks up. Got a barracks over here training, got a barracks over here training. I think I had some men on stone mining up there, but they've now moved. That metal mine goes untouched for absolutely ages, by the way. Absolutely ages. Getting a new temple up on the front. I do have a temple over here, but that was mostly for my cavalry. But now that my cavalry have sort of been relegated simply just to livestock gathering, yeah. So Kazu finally hits city phase, which does push my borders back. Gonna have to fight under the towers again. I do get this tower back, so we've got the arrow support from there coming in. Quintus trying to heal up inside that fortress. I can't remember if he actually tries to go and capture this tower again. I think he's just going for kills, which doesn't go too well for him. I've got the second armor upgrade for my infantry, and with Quintus Fabius, all of my infantry are 4 armor levels higher than they should be. I can't remember if they get that whilst Quintus is actually garrisoned. But they should all receive 2 extra armor levels on top of their standard values. His cavalry break off to go for another raid on the side, but that's not going to work. I've got too many men here now. Instead, he pushes them through. They're going for this... oh, they're just picking off a random Triarius? No? Okay. But my idle cavalry by the granary there, they come in to give us a hand against these sword cavalry raiding us. Still losing more units. I think my towers pretty much have range of his temple. Pretty much. If I got the 8-meter range upgrade, I think they do have range of this. A few of my men come over to capture that. He's getting his own forward fortress up. He's going to need that for siege weapons. This wood line's been depleted. This one is pretty much not worth gathering from. There's only 4 trees there. These guys, I really don't want to be doing this, but I guess they get overzealous and decide to grab that anyway. The sword cavalry kind of just skirmish around my wood lines. They don't really do anything. I sell some wood for food because, yep, I forget to buy... during these fights I've been forgetting to get livestock, and that's really hurt my food gain, because I do only have the 6 farms, and not all the farming upgrades yet. Trying to get that tower repaired. The tower's repaired now. Need to get those men healed in these temples. Need to get the fortress repaired. So yeah, it's looking pretty grim. In the face of a forward expansion, our opponent's got most of the resources on the map under his control. His cavalry just giving him great mobility, allowing him to really just hit my flanks where he wants, really just push his advantage in any location that he feels like. But his men have now been relegated to gathering wood again for him because he is running out. This back wood line's basically gone. He started cutting this wood here. But again, untouched on the west side. He finds my my wood line up in the north here with his raiding cavalry. I don't think I noticed it immediately, but oh no, there we go. Pretty decent reaction. I think he's going to lose more cavalry to this than I'm going to lose units. Yep. Again, these cavalry have no upgrades, whereas my units are pretty much almost fully upgraded. My infantry. I've got all the armor upgrades. I think I've started getting close quarter cavalry upgrades as well, because I thought I've already got cavalry breeding to make my cavalry faster. My opponent's using a lot of cavalry, so we need to go for the Eques Consularis, the consular bodyguard. And we're going to get another sneaky fortress up here by this stone. We're really fortifying our front line. We can't afford to allow ourselves to be pushed back any further. So we've got to hold our ground. At this point, it does look dire. We are in dire straits, but we're going to keep going. Getting another barracks up on the west side here, just to get this wood cutting really rolling. Getting an expansion over here wouldn't be a bad idea to secure more wood, or over to the right here. But we're getting sort of pincer raided on both sides. Trying to get that barracks up. The barracks goes up, which is perfect. I think his cavalry back out as soon as the barracks is done. Yeah. These cavalry over here try to engage a few more of my units. So my men come in there and just push them away again. No real kills on Kazu's side. Gets 1 infantryman. He's going to get another. Oh, my valets decided they wanted to level up, so yeah. Oh, we get two cavalry down there. It's not bad. Come on, guys. There we go. Some more raiding. He goes for the storehouse, but I've got 5 Triarius on the train. I'm not too bothered about losing 1 storehouse. But once the Triarius pop, you're going to see all the rest of the men come out. So there's the 5 Triarius. The rest of the men will pop out pretty soon. I don't think he's realised, I think he was too busy microing these guys or getting some more men on the front here. Yeah, he's building rams up for an attack. He's got Kunobelin as well. So he misses that these cavalry just get pincered behind the newly trained Triarius. We get the storehouse recaptured. We don't lose that. He's got about 20 cavalry sitting on that flank. Lost this flank. So, population-wise, Kazu's now close to breaching 200. He's got Kuno Belin, which is pretty much the hero I see every Britain player pick, which is interesting. I mean, honestly, I would have taken Karatakos for this, because the siege engines are going to be much more useful in that regard. So we've got a battering ram coming up to the front, but that's just a diversion from the 2 battering rams going along the flanks. I think he gets this storehouse, but it doesn't bother me too much. The Eque Consularis come out, and they're going to knock that battering ram down with no problem at all. So the Eque Consularis really acting as a solid response unit for these battering rams that Kazu has decided to go for. I think I should be getting some more Eques out soon. I noticed that he tries to capture my market, so I send my Eque over there to go and deal with them. His sword cavalry don't stand a chance. I don't think he's got any upgrades still. I'm going to search for a blacksmith if I can. I still don't see a blacksmith in his base. This is really, really odd. He's mined all of his stone and his metal, but I don't see any blacksmith. I guess he used all of his metal getting sword cavalry, which is interesting. But he loses his sword cavalry trying to capture my market, which is great. So another small victory there. We're really just trying to win our flanks, just really hold off every location we can to keep our resources coming in. I finally get this metal mine going, because I need the extra metal to get some more Eque Consularis. And it's a good job I do, because this is pretty much going to be the deciding fight coming up soon. As you can see, we've got another 5 minutes left in the game. So you'll see how it ends. It's pretty spectacular. So it's been really struggling to defend our base all game long, from cavalry coming in from all sides. But finally, we're starting to get our population up. We're almost up to 200 again. Kazu's really booming. I think he pops his next load of units. He's got everybody come in. He's got all of his units gathered together. We've got pretty much over 100 men here. The rest of his population will mostly be women or woodcutters in the back lines here. But he's got pretty much everyone moving up for an attack. He's got his rams coming in from the flank there. It's gonna be brutal. But thankfully, we've got 5 Eque Consularis coming from both fortresses, and my god, they come just in time. Just in time. So we've got my Eques Consularis pop out on the front here. All of our men just trying to fight off as best they can. As soon as I notice the rams and the absolute mass that he's got, I'm pretty sure I have to pull these guys back. Gonna have to pull the miners from down here, from up here. It's just mayhem. He walks straight into the metal miners, which we have our Consularis bodyguard coming in to deal with those. And he goes straight for the town centre. He's got all of his cavalry just attacking the town centre, and, you know, units being as dumb as they are in 0AD from time to time, they decide, you know what, we're not going to stop mining, we're just gonna carry on mining. Don't mind us, guys, we're just going to keep mining. But yeah, he also starts to attack my farms. I don't know if that's a misclick, but yeah. So it's just basically a huge... I even pop my ram out to go and attack his rams, because, yeah, like, the crush damage is useful. So finally we get everybody in the fight. He's still got 2 rams on my town centre, and he's going to get a 3rd one if it can make its way through. Losing more and more cavalry. He's lost nearly all his javelin cavalry here. He does just about manage to get the town centre, and there it goes. The town centre is down, but how does Rome respond? Rome is not happy. The Eque Consularis have 20 seconds left, and he's only got stragglers left. He's got a few men in my temple here. The towers are still under my control. Fortresses are going to take a while to lose their loyalty. So we push him away from my town centre, and I'm just like, no. You know what? Rome is not going to go down like this. That is not how Rome falls. We build another town centre, we gather all our men, and we go for it. So we've got our men on this flank here have just finished cutting wood or fighting or whatnot. They're still, you know, doing nothing. So I really should have grabbed literally everyone, but you'll see, it's not too much of an issue. And we just go for it. We've got to push the Britons out of our lands. The Eque Consularis have popped. Can't see my upgrades now because my blacksmith is no longer under my control. But I noticed he's getting another ram out, sneaky-like, on this flank. So I think he spent most of his metal on just getting rams rather than upgrades. So I decided, yep, everybody's going to just be committed to this fight now. Everybody's got to be committed. Bringing in these guys here, bringing in more miners from over here. Town centre is getting constructed again. So we'll have a town centre back up in a little while. And I think to myself, well, if he's going to garrison all his men inside this temple, we'll ignore it and we'll just go for the barracks. Just go for the barracks. Kill some of his woodcutters around here. The ram gets started on his fortress. And he doesn't have anything. He's not getting enough units out. He's got a decent surplus of resources, but it's just too late. Like, this attack comes in just as a complete... I think Kazu's biggest mistake in this game was going all in on my town centre. At the end of the day, it made no difference. It was all about who had units at the end of the day. And as you can see, the Eques Consularis are really just tearing up every single ram that he had, killing all of his cavalry. They really don't find it too difficult to make that kind of an impact in the fight. Town centre is complete. All the buildings start to flip back to Rome's control, and here we capture his fortress. It's all over now. It's all over, and we get the GG from Kazu in the next. Once he sees his barracks goes down, there we go. Kazu has resigned. Victory to Rome. So a really tough game overall. That was a really hard game. Constantly being attacked from pretty much every side. Trying to keep my economy up. Trying to keep resources coming in whilst always being under assault from cavalry on all different sides. If we hadn't have lost that early engagement from the cavalry over here, we may have had a chance to keep sort of map control, but instead we had to go back to using mostly infantry, get those infantry upgrades, and at the end of the day, that's what won us the battle. Our infantry being superior allowed us to defend our base against a pretty hefty assault. But because both players were constantly on the attack, constantly raiding each other's economies, and just like, well, in the early game it was me to Kazu, and then once Kazu won the cavalry, it was Kazu on me. So it kind of swapped. The early game was in my advantage, and the late game was in Kazu's advantage for the majority of the game. But yeah, just had to really, at the end, it just goes to show you just don't give up. Even if things look really dire, you're like 50 population below your opponent, you can pull games back, either on your opponent's mistakes or on your own good plays. And I think in this case, Kazu did make the mistake of going all in on my town centre. He should have really went for the fortresses. If he had have got the fortresses down, I wouldn't have been able to get those Consularis bodyguards, and he would have had a much better chance in those fights. And I'm really confused. He just didn't get any blacksmith upgrades. Like, that really confuses me. They're pretty significant. They make a big difference in your combat strength of your units. But yeah, there we go. At the end of the game, as you can see, very close. Resource-wise, pretty equal on food, pretty equal on wood. I gathered a lot more stone and metal than Kazu. So all in all, I gathered more resources and I got more loot as well. As far as buildings went, Kazu constructed more buildings. Technically, I captured more, but only because I rebuilt the town centre and it recaptured them. So, but yeah, pretty similar numbers. Kazu's army almost, well, literally more cavalry than infantry. Just getting that mobility advantage over the map. Again, the marketplace, pretty much got to trade whatever I wanted. And then, yeah, the vegetarian ratio, obviously. I went into corrals. Bit strange that Kazu decided not to go into corrals on with such a heavy mix of army. But as you can see, holding off those raids and such, it just gave us a huge key. I think that final battle really did put us in position to just win. Really, it was a very close game. As you can see, all the way through, our economy was pretty equal all the way through. Military score, pretty equal, but then mine started to rise. I think that's from the champions. I think the champions counted for a lot of military score at that point. Exploration, I got more of the map explored early on in the game. Obviously, because of my early cav rushes, it made a big difference in information you need on your opponent's base. And overall, again, very close throughout the game. It was really tough, but it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it, and I thought I should definitely share that game and that replay with you guys, because yeah, it felt like a really solid game of 0 AD. It was really fun. So yeah, big props to Kazu. Again, I did realise that was a rated game when I first went into it, so that was really surprising when I came out of it and got some extra rating. But to be honest, I think, if anything, Kazu shouldn't have lost any rating for that, because he played really well. I think if I had to give one thing I would say about myself in that game is that I should have kept on building my economy up and using that eco advantage I earned early on in the game with my cavalry. I should have capitalized on that a bit more, and I shouldn't have committed my cavalry against his. I should have definitely held them back and used them as more of a defensive force. I think that would have made a lot more of a difference in overall in how that game played out. But I think in Kazu's case, he played really well. I think if he had for tips for improving, his raiding was fine, but in some cases he would commit against groups of infantry that he couldn't beat with units of cavalry that were too small or whatnot. I think that was a mistake. I think he should have tried to... It was quite difficult to attack my base. It was pretty well walled off. So the only places he really could hit were my wood lines, and at that point they were all soldiers and fairly well upgraded as well. So he was gonna have some troubles fighting them. I think really it was that final battle. Kazu really should have focused my fortresses and like pushed my base back, as opposed to committing everything on my town centre. I don't think that's the right call. I think in most games where people go all in on the town centre, that's actually the wrong thing to do. You're much more likely to win the game by just pushing out your opponent's important buildings. Again, fortresses cost 1,000 stone, which is an absolutely huge amount of resources to use for one building. It's also going to be the strongest building your opponent has for their defense, so if you can get that down, then you're already winning. And it's where they'll get a lot of their siege weapons or their champions, possibly heroes as well. So getting rid of fortresses really is going to be key to winning those large assaults. And I think by ignoring the fortresses and going straight for the town centre, Kazu actually lost a lot more units than he needed to, which eventually lost him the game when I decided to retaliate. So yeah. But overall, a quality game, and I know a lot of people that watched that game during the stream really enjoyed it as well. So yeah, I thought I'd cover it because it was really good. Anyway, I need to get ready to stream later today actually, so obviously you guys watching this in the future, that means nothing to you, but yeah, I do stream 0 AD, so if you want to see more games like this online, obviously I can't commentate them in quite the same way because I am playing them. So you'll hear all sorts of ridiculous banter, or me just floundering around as I try and win games, or try to not get completely smashed. That's probably more accurate, trying not to get completely smashed than trying to actually win games. But there you go. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll probably have another game to upload after tonight. Though there was a particular game where I'm quite tempted to do a commentary on it, but it will be more of an overall talk about 0 AD. I know a lot of people have been talking about how the meta has developed in Alpha 22, and I have a game that I would actually like to showcase just to show off what the meta kind of looks like to me right now. I have been playing for, say, a week or two since I started getting back into the game, so I've had quite a few more games where I now know what to really expect from players, and most of the time it's pretty fun, and I'd say it's pretty balanced. But in other cases, and in the case I may do a video on, yeah, I can pretty much only sum it up as being very cancerous, pretty much. And it actually makes the game a lot more... I don't want to like rain on anyone's parade, because 0 AD is a great game, but some players decide to boil 0 AD down into pretty much a dull spam fest, because that's what they think is really efficient, and in some cases it is, which makes the game really dull. And I would like to do a video talking about that, because I feel it's quite important for the health of 0 AD's meta. And at the end of the day, the meta is decided by the players. And I think if enough players sort of understand the viewpoint that I'm coming from, they may decide, well, even if I'm not using the most efficient strategy in the world to attain rating, maybe I'll decide not to do that, because it will, you know, the game is just a lot more fun for everybody to play, and you can still win games. Like, most of the games that I play, there's very few games where I'll like decide to use one particular strategy and it's really cheesy. Like, I don't really like using gimmicky or cheesy strategies. Like, the most gimmicky strategy I use is Cyrus Deep Strike, and most people would probably call that a pretty naff strategy, because it's might be seen as being a bit slow or whatever. But yeah, I think it's fun and it's funky. But the one I'm talking about, I will probably do a video on, showcase to you guys at some point. But enough about that. This video has probably gone on for about an hour. I mean, it was a long replay, so you got that to consider. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will be back for my next multiplayer commentary, either from a video that I'm going to grab tonight when I stream, or just another one that I have in my list. Can't really think of any that stand out. And we played a really good Mediterranean team game, so I may do that, because there was a lot of really good teamwork that was being showcased on my side. I don't know about the opponent's side, because yeah, it was obviously you can't see your opponent's side of the map, so yeah. But when I do a commentary of it, I might be able to see how that went from their perspective as well. Anyway, it's been me, Chaff Commander Coffee. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.